It got super crazy right before I was supposed to go live and nothing was working. Hey everybody, let me just check and see here if you can see me. A little crazy here and I can't see you. Hey everybody, I'm Mary from Mary's Heirloom Seeds and welcome to a random Saturday afternoon live chat. If you're just joining me for the first time, welcome. For those of you that join me regularly, welcome back. If you can see me, say hi. Let me know you're watching. Let me know maybe what kind of pumpkin that you're going to grow in your pumpkin patch this season. So I'm in the shade right now. And there's probably a reason that I'm in the, well, there's definitely a reason I'm in the shade. It is almost 90 degrees. It's hot and I didn't really want to be out in the sun. Hey, hog legs. But that is part of planting our pumpkin patch as well. So I'm going to add a little bit of that as well. I may or may not show you the sunnier spot that I'll be adding. Hey, Kelly, thanks for joining me. Yeah, so pumpkins are heat tolerant, but they do need a little bit of shade. And just like us, sometimes we need a little shade as well. So this is a little more dappled light right here at this time of day at 1 p.m. Central Time. For those of you that haven't already, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. So today's topic is tips on starting a pumpkin patch. So one tip is planning. One of the things that you need is enough sunlight, but also not so much sun that it's going to burn the heck out of your pumpkin patch in the heat of the summertime. So hence me being in a semi-shady area, because I wilt when it gets too hot as well. Hey Harold, thanks for joining us. So you want to find a place that gets plenty of sun, but also that gets plenty of moisture, but not standing water. So if you look in this area here, so you may or may not be able to see it here, I have what's left of a compost pile. So that is going to be the start of my pumpkin patch. So I am not going to grow I have 2 new pumpkin patches that I'm going to plant, and I'm not going to grow them in raised beds. They're going to be in ground. Across from where I'm looking at here, we just dug this crazy trench. And so the soil is really loosened up on the either side of that trench, because obviously we had to have the trench built, dug bigger and then filled back in. So on either side of that trench, this is an irrigation trench that we built, I am going to plant a pumpkin patch. And then over here in this semi-shady spot, I'm also going to plant a pumpkin patch. So we need, when I say full sun, you're going to need at least 8 hours of sun through the day. So this area here gets at least 6 hours in the morning, and then when the sun goes that way, it gets more sun in the later part of the evening, not the heat of the day. So this is going to be one spot, and that spot over there is going to be another spot. Super exciting. So you also need plenty of water and plenty of nutrients. Now, super important is to be able to provide water for your plants. If it doesn't rain enough, you're definitely going to need to provide more water. So where I'm looking at here, we have a spigot here that is next to one of the gardens. This is outside of one of our gardens. We've got okra for seed here. We've got ground cherry for seed here. We've got black-eyed Susans for seed back here. And then I also have some summer squash. But by the time my pumpkins are starting to produce here, those summer squash will probably be done for. If they're not, I'll pull them up anyway, just so that we don't have cross-pollination. So it really just depends on what your goal is for your pumpkin patch. If you're going to be planting your pumpkin patch for seed saving, or whether you're going to do it for eating, or whether you're going to do it to feed your animals. Super exciting. We've got so much growing here. I actually also have, I'm trying to see what I have back there. Melinda says planting small sugar pumpkin. Awesome. It is Jerusalem artichoke I've got growing back there too. So there's this big raised bed, and it's full of Jerusalem artichoke. So that should be really fun harvest later on after the summertime, pretty much. So planning ahead for your pumpkin patch means finding a spot that gets adequate amount of sun, which is 8 hours or more, plenty of water, and plenty of nutrients. So if you have an area that it doesn't have nutrient dense soil, you're going to want to amend. So I'm starting like I said, I'm starting with a pile of compost, and then I'm going to be adding mountain flower root boost, and I'm going to be adding azomite. The mountain flower root boost has beneficial bacteria in it. It might sound weird if you're not sure about how that works. There are good beneficial bacteria in your soil, so we really need that, and we need to cultivate that. So, which is why we don't till here. So I'm going to add a layer of compost. Then, because it's a brand new bed, I'm going to want to amend with some soil amendments, and that's going to be mountain flower root boost and azomite. Azomite is one that a lot of people don't necessarily think about, but it is micronutrients. So there are over 67 minerals in azomite that are beneficial to your plants. So just like you have your macronutrients, which is your NPK that you're going to see on any kind of fertilizer, you also need to consider micronutrients. So I'm going to make sure that I do that, and then I'm going to add a layer of pre-mixed soil that I have, which is like compost, coconut coir, and perlite, if it's for a container, if I've got any left over. Otherwise, I'm just going to do compost and coconut coir and then top it off before I start planting. And then we also need to know when to plant. It's June 1st, and happy June, everybody. This is the official astronomical summer. So it's super exciting and weird that you've got these two different types of summers. The official start of summer is June 20th, but your astronomical summer, don't ask me what that is all about, I was just reading about it today, is today, which is June 1st. As long as you are past your last frost date, which, like I said, it's almost 90 degrees here in East Texas. As long as it's past your last frost date, you can definitely start planting. And if you're in a warmer area, if you're in South Texas, if you're in South Florida, there's still a chance to plant. And for that, I would highly recommend Seminole pumpkin. It is by far one of the most heat tolerant, pest tolerant, delicious pumpkins. And it's a very small pumpkin, and it also can climb a tree. Fun fact, right? So Seminole pumpkin is one of my favorites. I am definitely going to be planting Seminole pumpkin in one of my patches. I already have it growing on another side of the property to save for seeds, but I'm not in that garden right now because it is full sun right now at 10 past 1 in Texas Central Time here, just in case you're not sure. So usually that means you can start planting your seeds after mid-February, depending on where you are, and through May, and then also as late as mid-June or even the end of June. It is totally going to depend on your area. Again, if you're in Florida, you can definitely plant Seminole pumpkin as late as July 1st, and you'll still have plenty of time because you probably won't have a hard frost. Here in East Texas, we get cold around the end of October, and then our last frost date estimated is mid-November. So I definitely want to be able to plant these and harvest them before we get cold, because pumpkins are not cool tolerant. So that's why it's really important to know when to plant, because you don't want to be planting too late in the year and then having a hard frost and losing all your delicate pumpkins, because at that point they probably are pretty delicate if they're not quite ready to harvest. Proper care is important with pumpkins. Not only are they heavy feeders, but they need plenty of sun and they need plenty of water, but not standing water. So if you're in an area that has standing water, you're going to want to build up the soil so that it's not in a ditch, pretty much. And then you want, for moisture control, you want to try and add mulch. So do you see all this beautiful dead leaves back here? We had some crazy storms the last couple weeks, and I've got a lot of down leaves. So I'm going to use some of that as my free mulch. That will help retain some moisture in my soil, especially when it gets warmer and the soil starts to dry out a little more. I'm definitely going to want to make sure that I add mulch. That is a great way not only to keep the weeds down and to keep the pests away, but also to keep it moisturized. I don't know about you, but if I don't put moisture on, I feel all dried up and crackly. You definitely don't want your soil to get all dried up and crackly either. So that's a really important part of your pumpkin patch. Now, for the another very, very important aspect, and that is organic pest control. We are all about growing organic and what I call beyond organic standards here. So we grow with nature. I don't use herbicides or pesticides that, even organic, that may harm beneficial insects and animals in my garden, right? If you follow me on Facebook, I recently posted in my Mostly Feral Gardeners group that we had a snake in the coop. It was not killed. It was relocated on our property away from our chickens so that I can enjoy eggs and he or she, it, can enjoy eating rodents and other whatever it eats on my property. So let's go ahead and talk about different companion plants for your pumpkin. So for my pumpkin patch in particular, I have like a top 5 that I always have to plant with my pumpkins. You might have your own personal top 5, but these are my top 5. And that is nasturtiums, borage, calendula, marigold, and radishes. Throwing you off maybe with those radishes, but this year in particular, I went crazy adding radishes to all of my squash areas. By the way, if you guys are joining me and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask while I'm chatting with you. And if you haven't already, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel. So I threw everybody off this year and I added a radish to all of my squash beds. And I have to say that only one out of all the squash beds has trouble with squash bugs. And I'm a little frustrated by that because I really wanted some of those and I just pulled up a couple, and I have been checking the leaves regularly, but apparently 1 or 2 leaves kind of got by me a little bit. So there's some squash bugs there. I didn't take over everything. I was able to eradicate them fairly quickly, but I definitely am going to add radishes because there's a couple reasons. Radishes are not heat tolerant, but they will bolt fairly quickly. And after they bolt, they produce flowers, super awesome. And then they produce pods that are edible. So even if you don't necessarily get a radish, a full-blown radish to eat, you can eat those seed pods, and those flowers will bring pollinators to your pumpkin patch. So not just to eat, but also to add beneficials to our garden. There are a couple of other organic pest control options that you can use. There is something called BT, and it can be found organically. You can use those depending on what kind of stuff that you like. Kelly says, yes, eat the radish pods. Kelly, you've been MIA lately. I haven't really gotten a chance to chat with you lately, but if you check out Mary's Heirloom Seeds on Facebook, I did post a picture of the radish pods. They are so awesome. They're crunchy, they're peppery, they're not as spicy as a regular radish, and they are delicious. As far as some of the store-bought options you can use, hey, it's totally great to take a break from social media. I totally do. On occasion, I'll schedule some posts and just walk away for a little bit, but I understand. There are some botanical deterrents. Have you heard about using turmeric for your squash? If you haven't, oh my goodness. That is something that I've been using as well today, not as well this year, for squash vine borers. It's just turmeric powder. I buy it organic in bulk, and I sprinkle it around the base of my plant, and it has been, I wouldn't say that it's been 100% perfect, but it has been amazing. So that's definitely a really good one to use. And one that I recommended to one of my regular customers is using hot pepper flakes. So she bought cayenne pepper flakes, and I'm not sure if she just sprinkled it around her garden or if she like brewed it like a tea and then sprayed it or just splashed it all over the garden. It is a deterrent for things like squirrels, rabbits, and other munching pests that might come into your garden. I can't say that it's for sure going to deter the deer, but it's definitely something that might be helpful. And so turmeric and cayenne are definitely excellent options that are really simple, and it's probably something you already have in your kitchen. If you're like me, you've got all kinds of different random herbs and spices that might be good. Another thing you can do is garlic, olive oil and cayenne pepper and let that brew for a couple days and it kind of ferments. You blend it together first, leave it on your kitchen counter, and then you strain it out and add some, well, oh, sorry, I'm sorry. I should be more specific. You want to add water to that mixture first so it actually brews, and then you strain it out the pieces, and you can use that in a spray bottle as well. So another option for you too is neem oil, but I will say this. Anytime you're using any kind of insecticidal soap, which I use Dr. Bronner's, I don't you can buy organic soap. I don't use things like Dawn because it's just not as, again, we try and do as organic as beyond organic as possible. So anytime you use things like insecticidal soap or neem oil or lavender oil or peppermint oil, you want to be aware that these things will affect your plants. And I'm not even going to say they can. They will affect your plants because in the heat of the summer, you want to make sure that you're spraying these at night, and you want to make sure that you're not doing too much. So one of my customers posted that they had used peppermint oil all over their garden and everything started to get wilted. Now, peppermint oil is good in very small amounts. Absolutely. I'll get to that in just a second as well. Peppermint oil is very good in small amounts, but when I use peppermint oil, I use it around my garden. I don't use it on my garden. Insecticidal soap and neem oil is another one that's fantastic for munching pests, caterpillars and worms and different beetles, but you want to make sure that you use a diluted version. You're not going to put straight oil or straight soap on your plants. And then again, you want to do it at the right time. Even just watering your plants in the heat of the day, if there's water left on those leaves, they might actually act as like a magnifying glass and burn your plants. So something to think about. Let's see. Christian said any oil will probably wilt the leaves, I imagine. Hey, Christian. So neem oil is a really good beneficial one. You just have to use it in a good diluted version of it. Hey, Patriots Rabbitry, thanks for joining us. And Harold asked about cinnamon. Cinnamon is what I have found has been really good for ants, for ant control. So it doesn't work like a store-bought option. Hey, Jennifer, thanks for joining us. Hey, Moonblade, thanks for joining us. Totally fine. I'm so glad you guys joined me here today. Today's topic is tips for starting a pumpkin patch. And if you missed the beginning, you can always catch the replay. So cinnamon is great for ants. I also use diatomaceous earth with ants, but I always caution that diatomaceous earth can bother your lungs if you don't use a mask because it's sharp particles. And I never use it where I have pollinators. So when I do use diatomaceous earth, I drop it on the soil of where the ant pile is, and I mix up the ants in it. I know, I'm sorry, it sounds terrible. It's not going to harm your earthworms, but you do want to use it with caution. Anytime you use anything that it will affect pests, whether they're good or, I mean, there's good and there's bad, but you always want to use caution with everything. So cinnamon, I have found, has been fantastic for ants. So if you are just joining me, thank you very much for joining me. For those of you that joined me, welcome back. I love having you guys here to join me. I missed my Thursday night live chat because we had storm after storm after storm. We lost power 2 days in a row, but we did get it back, so that's exciting. And then I am starting several pumpkin patches, and I have been crazy about pumpkin patches. If you don't follow me on social media, you may not already know that there is a discount code. Check out the community section here at Mary's Heirloom Seeds on YouTube, and you will see it is Pumpkin 2024, and that will expire June 15th, 2024, and that'll save you 20% off of all squash and pumpkin seeds. So if you haven't already got your squash and pumpkin seeds for your pumpkin patch, now is a great time to use it. So I'm going to be planting so many different squash and hang on just a second, and pumpkin varieties. No, I don't use baby oil. That's probably would be a great way to kill your plant because the plant would be like fried from using something like baby oil. So if you haven't already, check out our selection of squash and pumpkin seeds. We have some really exciting ones this year that there's so many. Harold, oh no, you're still without power. Yeah, there's a lot of people still without power in our area. So I'm sorry to hear you're without power. We had some really crazy storms run through. We had 4.5 inches of rain in one day. I think we had 3.5 inches of rain the day before. So our gardens are soaked. Trees are down. We did lose a couple trees here, but it didn't affect our power too bad. We were without power for half a day, 2 days in a row, till like, I don't know, before lunch till 10:30 at night or something like that. So it was definitely not fun. I got a little behind on seed orders, but I was able to catch up yesterday and today, so we're back on track. I will be planting blue Hubbard squash as a trap crop, and I will be planting that away from the rest of my gardens. I will be planting moringa squash, which is a pink pumpkin. I already have Seminole pumpkin growing already for seeds, but I'll be harvesting some for me to eat too. Let's see what else. Now that I'm on the spot, I forgot what I was going to plant. I wrote it all down too. Amish pie pumpkin I'm going to be planting. Dickinson pumpkin I'm going to be planting. If you don't know about Dickinson pumpkin, it is the original Libby's pumpkin. So that is definitely one that I want to grow. It's what you would get in a can if you bought a can from the store. So I'm really interested to try the different varieties. The Cinderella pumpkin, which is a rouge something, it's in French pumpkin. I'm definitely going to be planting that because it grows fantastic here in East Texas. There are so many different options. We've got a flat white bower. We've got white queen. We've got Casper. We've got Big Macs. So there are so many different varieties. Oh, I know one that's super excited. The Kakai Hulless pumpkin. So if you like to eat pepitos, they are just like a regular pumpkin seed, but usually those are grown using the Kakai, or they're harvested using Kakai hulless pumpkins because there's no hull on the seed. Pretty cool, right? So I'm excited to try those because Doc really likes pepitos, and I hate buying them from the store, and it's a pain to de-hull pumpkin seeds. I want something a little easier. We already have a lot going on, and part of this pumpkin patch is going to be for us. If you don't already know, if you store your pumpkins, if you cure them and store them well or properly, they will store for 6 months or more. Harold, I have not. If it's an heirloom, I'll definitely check it out. Dickinson shaped like a watermelon. I don't think the Dickinson is shaped like a watermelon. I'm not sure. Hog legs, perfect timing. Because pumpkins will store for 6 months or more, they make a fantastic food for your animals. We've got chickens here. Randomly, we had goats running around our property, but some people use pumpkin seeds as a natural dewormer. So that's another option for you if you've got livestock and you want to be able to cut back on your feed bill. Growing a pumpkin patch is a fantastic option because just because you harvest that pumpkin today doesn't mean you have to feed it to something or eat it right away. You can store it properly for 6 months or more. The Seminole pumpkin, I did an experiment in 2001, and I stored it from October 2021 through November 2022 when I ate it. So that's 13 months, and it was delicious. So if you haven't already tried Seminole pumpkin, I definitely recommend trying it out. So those are my tips for growing a pumpkin patch. Thanks for joining me in the heat. I'm already sweaty. Sorry about that. It's been so crazy around here. I miss my Thursdays. I'm sweating my hiney off here, sitting outside. Ken says you've missed about the last 40 days. Thanks for going live. I try to go live here every Thursday at 5 p.m. Central Time, but with the storms this week, I was not able to. So I figured, come join me on a Saturday afternoon while I sweat myself crazy outside. It is June 1st in East Texas, and I am thoroughly enjoying all this amazingness that we've got going on in our garden. You can see the field behind me is completely green. They run cows next door. So it's nice to have I get a little cow company while I'm out here in my garden. Alrighty, everybody, check out the description section of this video for a link to my comprehensive planting guide. You can sign up for my link to receive all the information that sometimes I talk about here on my live chat. And then also there's a link to all the heirloom squash and pumpkin seeds that we carry at marysheirloomseeds.com. So follow the community section here at Mary's Heirloom Seeds on YouTube, and I'll post a couple of pictures as I update. And then I'll also make a full-blown blog post on my website at marysheirloomseeds.com with all this awesome information. Alrighty, everybody, I'm Mary at Mary's Heirloom Seeds, signing off, and happy planting.